Good afternoon. Today I want to talk about the concept that's been put out by the extreme leftist folks in America today called gun crime. The reality is this term is not true. Guns don't kill people. People do, right? And it's a human crime involving a gun. Just like it's a bludgeoning if someone uses a club. And as I always tell students, if it wasn't a firearm, it would be a rock. Ask Cain and Abel. So what does it mean? Well, these terms get used by left-wing politicians in particular and the public's upset by shootings, we all are, and so they use this to make people who've been affected by shootings try to enact gun control, not to protect us as citizens of the United States, but to protect their power. So the Democratic leftists and others who believe in gun control want to protect their power, and the way they do that is by taking the guns away from the American people. And then the government and politicians can have all the power and the best life they want. Excuse me, it sounds kind of crazy to me. As a matter of fact, I think it is crazy, but then, there's Nancy Pelosi. And today, finally, it's reported that a man in upstate New York, Ronald Stolarczyk, in upstate New York, 64 years old, Deerfield, New York, 4 hours north of New York City, has a woman and a boy, her son, a woman 57 and her son 27, went into his house. It was a home invasion in upstate New York in Deerfield. And he feared for his life. He was afraid, and he didn't think more, and he didn't see anything as far as firearms on them or not. He just had a pistol and he fired away and killed them both. And it turns out that this firearm was his father's pistol, and that he came to it as his father died. He inherited this gun. Well, in New York, it's a felony to own an unregistered firearm, a handgun specific. New York, Louisiana, Illinois, and California have the strictest handgun laws in the United States. You gotta have a permit, and you can't have a handgun, and even if you do, you're only allowed 7 rounds in the clip. You think of a 45 would be the way to go. At least you make a bigger hole. So the reality is these 4 states have more gun crime than the other states. So where there is intense gun control, there's more gun crime. And that's why states like Ohio and folks like us stand back and say, let them figure it out, because the day will come they realize we have to have firearms to keep us free as Americans, just in case the government will become radical and insensitive and try to take us over or kill us. People who can't see this need to think more and look at history and see what's happened up to now. So this man in New York is being accused of a gun crime. He's not been charged with homicide. He has been charged with felony possession of a firearm, which he came to through inheritance of his father, but he never registered it. He's 64 years old, And these people came into his house. He didn't know them. He thought he was going to be harmed, and he killed them. Reality: scare somebody with a firearm, they'll most likely kill you. And it has nothing to do with violence, and it has nothing to do with the gun crime. The only crime is in the people of New York's heads. If you can't protect yourself and personal property, what's the use to be alive? If you can't protect yourself and your loved ones from invaders into your house, what has this world become? And this idea of gun crime against Americans by leftist politicians who want to keep their power is nothing more than cannon fodder, pun intended. And the reality becomes, as I always say, gun control is a ridiculous idea and it ain't happening in the United States. We have the First Amendment here. Right to free speech, right to freedom of religion, freedom of the press, right to gather peaceably and assemble, the right to regress our grievances to the government. That's a big one. All guaranteed by the First Amendment. And we have the Second Amendment, the right to bear arms, to back up the First Amendment. That's why it's written that way. And when we look at Mr. Ronald Stolarczyk in North New York, he was protecting himself, and that's it. And reality shows itself sooner or not by action. Something to think about. Protecting ourselves is something we have to do unconsciously, because we're conscious about it when it matters. I'm just glad Mr. Stolarczyk had a firearm. I hope you have a good day and you all take care. Peace out.